And welcome back to Corsace Closed 2024. It is now the conclusion of the round of 16 weekend, which means it's time to get right on into the quarterfinals Mappool showcase. We hope you all enjoyed a lot of the intense matches this weekend. Unfortunately, we didn't see too many close bouts, lots of 6-1s and 6-2s, but still, this quarterfinals weekend is looking to be spicy, and it is going to be played on the Mappool that is about to be presented. So I guess let's get on right into it. With Nomod 1, we have our first custom of the tournament. We have Happy Lucky Dochi, mapped by Jonesin, also known as Natek Des, also known as Evil Elvis. And yeah, this map is definitely something. Not often we can get Jonesin to map something so high star, but he made this awesome map for us here. This Nomod 1 is going to be fulfilling the true Nomod 1 spirit. Anime jumps all the way through. Replay by Suwagi, as you would expect for an A map like this. Map does graze 8 stars, being 8.06. As the scaling is going to start to pick up this weekend. This pool is balanced around being 7.8 stars, but we felt that this map, in terms of our scaling, fit quite well. Also seeing how players are generally pretty good at aim, we aren't really too afraid to go up above and beyond on the skill set. And I feel like we could say the same thing about speed. And I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Miles. I am one of the head poolers for this tournament and one of the commentators as well. Unfortunately, doing this showcase with a nasty case of the flu, so I'm going to be awaiting Dio to show up soon. Yeah, hopefully this song doesn't give too many players any bad memories from farming some of the ranked versions of this. But you know, this song, it does lend itself to be a really nice aim map up at 235 BPM. With a lot of constant intensity, you can map a lot of very wide jumps to this song. And here is Dio. Welcome, Dio.
Hey, thank you. The match I was streaming and casting has just finished. So here to cast the showcase, and I see I'm not too late. We're still on Nomod 1. Some higher BPM jump aim here for the Nomod 1 in quarterfinals.
Back to the aim. But it is like a very distinct style, you know. You tend to get this with Jonesin maps where he has this very distinct like wide angle style that you see on all of his maps, and this one definitely follows that to a T.
Yeah, this map being mapped by Jonesin, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting. You do still get some of the just high spacing back and forths, but some of them are linears, some of them are squares, some of them are anti-aim, with some of the jumps being really small going into super high spacing afterwards. So none of this is really simple patterning. A lot of this can be really, really tricky to deal with, especially at a higher BPM and much higher spacing like this map is at 8 stars.
For sure. Yeah, this ending Ki, those jumps so awkward to hit. But we're going to be hoping that we see some close matches on this map. I don't believe we saw Nomod 1 too often this weekend, but maybe we'll see this one a bit, show a little bit of love to the custom.
Yeah, Nomod 1 was picked a couple of times last weekend. I do remember seeing it in the Zudinator match, of course, but I didn't get to see a lot of the other matches. So yeah, hopefully this custom gets a little bit of love as well.
And yep, now on to Nomod 2. We have a song that most people should be quite familiar with, but a map of it that I don't think a lot of people will be. We've got Embraced by the Flame by Undead Corporation, cut version, mapped by Monzel, a mapper that I had not heard of until finding this map. found this in Graveyard with like 200 plays, and this is one of the coolest maps of this song that I have actually seen. But yep, if you know Embraced by the Flame, you know what the gist of this map is going to be. Stamina streams all the way through with lots of difficult flowing as well, up at 215 BPM.
Yeah, most maps of this song, you tend to see the same sort of just really high spacing, basic stream shapes, and not a lot of accel, decel, not a lot of wiggles, not a lot of cornering or. This one, it seems like you get some of the more modern stream shapes and spacing changes mixed in with some really tough stream cornering.
Yeah, flowing in this is not going to be super simple all the way through. You already saw some of the XL decels in the streams earlier, and now we're getting into the chorus. This is where the flowing really starts to ramp up. You see the spacing decelerating as you get to the end of the streams, but I think this is really where we're going to see some players start to get tested on their stamina. But the streams in this aren't necessarily too long. I think longest one we've seen in this chorus being only 24 notes. Yeah, also have to give a shout out to Belladonna, the test player, who went out of their way to find this map. We were kind of stuck for Nomod 2s a few days ago, ended up finding this gem in Graves, so huge shout outs. Also replay by Rectigon, our resident stream player.
Yeah, this one is a little unique, by the way. Most of the versions of this that you see are like either 4.5 minutes or the supercut version at like 2 minutes. This one still has the guitar solo, but is only about 3 minutes long, which is kind of nice. I think a lot of players prefer stream maps that are, not a minute and a half, but also not 4.5 minutes of death streams. Especially at the star rating, they tend to mix together a little bit and kind of blend into the same map. So having this be a little shorter than that is nice.
I think it's kind of that sweet spot because when you're at just such a short map, like 1.5 minutes, like you said, those maps tend to be, not really too draining on the stamina unless the BPM is really up there and the strain is there for the entire map. But this one offers kind of that like sweet spot before you get to the really long stream maps that a lot of people tend to farm, where honestly, I think those maps are a little bit boring to see in a tournament because you can see those get determined so quickly, but 3 minutes, just a great length for a tournament map, always. Okay, now prepare yourselves for our Nomod 3. This is, I mentioned I have the flu. This is my flu map pool. Like, if you know Michael Jordan's flu game, this is my flu map pool because here is Nomod 3. This map is crazy and you'll love it. Yeah, we got Deconstruction Star, map by Hollowwings. This is our alt map.
It's alt. I mean, it's not what you usually expect to see in the Nomod 3 slot, but it is alt. It is aim control, it is finger control, it is some 155 BPM ridiculous patterning, and I feel like this is obviously not what people are expecting to see in this slot, but depending on the rest of the pool, can also easily fit into a high skill cap tournament map pool nowadays, which is exactly the role it's filling here. Obviously, in a map like this, you get these intro sections that are really, really tricky. A lot of people have struggled with these intro and outro sections that are famously defining for the map throughout the years.
But yeah, so don't worry, everybody. When it comes to map pool balancing, we did balance this around also having a very present finger control aspect and also being quite awkward on some of the ease alt patterns. So some of the other alt maps in the pool will make up for this by being maybe less straining on the finger control and also being a little bit more conventional. We do have a flow alt map later in the map pool, so definitely don't worry. We didn't just pick this because it's an alt map. We're not that dense, but this definitely is a fan favorite, I think. One of the iconic maps of this game, honestly. Like, ever since it was released, I remember when this was released, a lot of people actually met this with scorn because Hollowwings just breaking boundaries. in all sorts of ways. This map was really different from anything we saw at the time, and you know, nowadays with people being a little more open to playing more gimmicky, more out there styles of maps, this is something that I thought would be really good for this map pool. So another replay done by Suwagi. 654k score on this is nothing to scoff at. I think we're going to be looking at a few players to be able to match that kind of score in a match. Obviously looking at Mr. Number 1 on this map himself, Forum, worst HR player, going to be licking his chops seeing this in the map pool. But yeah, at the same time, I think this could also be a little bit of a dissuasion for other players, because this map, as iconic as it is, that means that a lot of people have played it a lot, which leads to mind blocks. So there could be some players who typically pick alt will look away from this map because of that. But hopefully that isn't the case.
I mean, that's always somewhat the case with well-known maps, right? It's a balancing act between finding something that is going to be really interesting to watch, interesting to play, but also something that the players will generally have a good time practicing and dealing with throughout the weekend. And some of them easier said than done for certain slots, that's for sure.
Definitely. And I mean, I think this map, it's really consistent throughout, to the point where I feel like it's tough to really develop a like super specific mental block. But one thing that I would like to point out is the last chorus having a lot more snap aim than the previous choruses that are more flow aim intensive. And also the finger control in this map, in my opinion, being a non-factor. I think these bursts are very easy to mash through while still retaining your finger control, especially on the intro and ending sections, but that could be my bias.
Speed players, SMH my head. But yeah, I think especially I think what makes this should be obvious, but what makes the intro and outro hard, of course, is not the finger control by itself, but the combo with everything else going on. Having to pull off that balancing act is, of course, much more difficult for most players than just focusing on the one skill set at a time. So I think a lot of players will still struggle with those sections, in spite of the fact that, yeah, the finger control is not actually that hard. And of course, these snap aim patterns changing the map up a little bit, where before you got just the kind of back and forth long streams, now you get these cut stream sections here in the end of the map.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're getting up to this star rating, it's really impossible to have a map that is only one skill set. No matter what you're pulling, you're going to be pulling something that tests multiple skill sets at a time. I mean, I guess there are a few exceptions to that, like very specific slots that call for very specific skill sets. Not going to name which one because that would kind of spoil the type of map that it is, but yeah, I mean, for something like this, we very typically see alt maps that are very focused on the flow and the awkward aim, and I thought it would be really cool to mix it up with something like this, and that's why Deconstruction star is in this map pool. It's not just because it's super bass and I love this song and Hollow Wings, but yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, now we get on to another different sort of map, the tech Nomod pick here. Chrono Kinesia by Project G, a cut version mapped by Nuge and Fairy.
Yep, this map was a custom for MRC 5 in the grand finals of that. I believe that's the Canadian 1v1 tournament.
MRC changes format. Sometimes it's 2v. I think it's usually 2v2. You're thinking of Maple Cup for the 1v1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but either way, these are some very notable tech mappers. Nuge and Fairy. You see them in tournaments all the time making these awesome tech picks, and I found this one, and it was just exactly what we were looking for this slot. It is, I think, a lot more typical for what you see in a tech slot compared to some of the tech maps we had last week, where looking at Ryusegun, which was very awkward, CS 4.7, it was very unconventional. Also things like Internet Overdose, which were, you know, very focused on aim and not really testing a lot of tech at all. This is something that you would expect to find in a tournament tech slot.
Yeah, this, as a Nuge Fairy collab, kind of runs the gamut. You get the aim control on the streams and triples, you get some slider streams, you get some of those longer sliders that require really good slider aim to be able to get full 300 on, and you get the finger control as well, based on some of the doubles, some even note streams mixed in with your typical odd numbered streams like the quints and triples. So a lot going on in this map, in addition to, of course, the buzz sliders and other things that you have to contend with.
Yeah, this is the type of map where always going to be looking out for players to drop their accuracy on some of the slider ends, but this map also has a very distinct kind of awkward flow section. There's a couple of them in this map, and this is one of them, where you really have to be on point with your flow aim, or else you could happen to find a chain miss or two.
Thanks to Rectagon for the replay also on this one. Not just the resident stream player, but also pretty good on tech also.
Yep, the resident everything player, if we're being honest. That guy, so well-rounded now.
Yeah, he's not too keen on playing 1v1s most of the time, I find. More of a team tournament player, but when he does show up in 1v1s, usually forced to be reckoned with. I think mostly thought of as the best North American tournament player. Disputed, but like he's up there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, I'm not sure of exactly how many players who could compete with Rectagon when he's at his peak. Like, obviously there's a few of them in this tournament, but definitely if you were playing, he would be a player that you would expect to definitely reach the top 6 in this extremely prestigious tournament, just based on exactly how strong he is and how high his skill cap is. But here comes the second awkward flow section I was talking about.
Shadow Castle.
Yes, we love Shadow Castle. But yeah, I see someone in chat mention Kriller versus Malashevsky on this map. That is something that I'm going to be very curious to see, because both of those two are some of the best tech players in the world. Hopefully neither of them decide to ban this out.
Yeah, I would love to see this in that matchup. But unfortunately, that's enough of this map for now, and we're going to be moving on to Nomod 5, Senseless Massacre by Rings of Saturn, LMT's Expert difficulty. Not super high on the star rating for this one, but there's a couple of reasons for that. This map doesn't need the extra star rating to fit this pool.
Yeah, I mean, 270 BPM, very difficult to really cheese through that if you aren't necessarily a speed player. But yeah, this map not very high in the star rating, I think mostly because of the spacing on this. Definitely, I think, easy-ish for the standards that speed players have for their picks. This one not going to be too much harder than the map from last week, I think, and that can be said about a few maps in the pool. We really emphasized having quarterfinals and round of 16 be very similar in terms of scaling, where, yeah, round of 16 is 7.6 stars, this one is 7.8 stars, but, like, really, I think both of those rounds are going to be around this exact star rating when it comes to some of the high mechanics. And, I mean, I believe this is lower star rating than the round of 16 Nomod 5 as well, so definitely something to keep an eye on if you're thinking of giving feedback on this pool. But still, this map, I mean, Senseless Massacre really speaks for itself. This is one of the speed songs of all time. Lots of memes surrounding this song, I think, but also one for speed players to really one that is really a stomping ground for speed players, I would say.
One thing I will note about this map, it's potentially possible that we can see some certain players double tap some of this, though the spacing on some of these streams is high enough that they are probably going to have to mix that double tap with some just normal burst streaming as well in order to deal with some of the higher spacing patterns. So not quite as simple as it might look to get a good score while double tapping this map.
Yeah, and as well as the some of those kick sliders, as you just saw, really lots of potential to slider break if you're mashing through those. Yeah, this replay was done by Dash Arco, I believe. Another very noteworthy mechanics player from the US. But yeah, as per this song, I think a lot of people are going to really be looking at the ending burst section as a place for people to really drop their accuracy if they aren't comfortable on the speed. And here it is.
I never got this part of the map. Like, I get what's being mapped during this part, but I never got why it's mapped as actual streams. You know?
I get it.
You get it? All right.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of hear it in the guitar. You can hear it in the guitar.
You can kind of hear it. Let's map some 270 streams.
It is very funny.
It's a little silly. It's a little silly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at this point, song is dwindling down, and hoping a map doesn't get determined by all of that after the bursts, but it is a slow section for like 30 seconds, so definitely don't want to miss there. But that's going to do it for Nomod 5. On to Nomod 6, another tourney certified classic. We have Desire Drive, mapped by Half Slashed. This one has seen its use in tournaments. It's definitely been around the block. This originated in Corsace, I think 2020.
Yes, Grand Finals Free Mod 1 in Corsace Open 2020, where it was too hard. It was just straight up too hard. The fact that it can be pooled in Nomod in an 8-star pool here just goes to show exactly how hard this map really is. There are no modded FCs on this map at all. The best modded play on this is a Hard Rock score from Rectagon, and there's only 4 no mod FCs on this at all. One of them is by a player in this tournament in Kriller, so look out for him on this map this weekend. But yeah, this is a really, really tricky one with flow aim control, and very, very difficult low approach rate reading. On top of being CS 5.5, this one's also AR 7.5, so in keeping with last week's Nomod 6, the approach rate lower than 8 on both of those so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, we acknowledge that the Nomod 6 from last week might have been too hard. That map didn't really see that much usage at all this weekend, so maybe a map that a lot more people are going to be familiar with could be one to see a little more usage this weekend. But, you know, with this skill set being so polarizing, I think we're going to be it's going to be tough to see any matches that decide to leave this one open. Maybe Kriller and Malshevsky, but can't be too sure. Also, yes, we are definitely not beating the Toho allegations. There are technically 3 Toho maps in this Nomod pool with the tag, but I can explain there are no Toho maps until the DT pool left. There's one more.
There's more?
There's one more. There's one more, Dio. There's one more. Oh. But either way, I think we actually had 5 last week, so we're inching lower. There is 1 fewer Toho map in the pool than last week. But that's just how it be sometimes, so hope you all enjoy it. And that's going to do it for the Nomod pool. On to Hidden One, notably not Toho. We've got Ayuno Tsurugi, mapped by Autonor. This map is, I believe, newly ranked. Found this one in the qualified section a bunch of weeks ago, and it was just exactly what we're looking for with some 230 BPM, AR9, dense aim, little bit of burst as well, kind of similar to the last week's Hidden One in that regard, but still, I think this one emphasizes skills that are more notable for hidden players than that map did. This one, being only AR9, it is a lot more dense than last week's, so that is definitely something to take note of.
Yeah, this map was submitted October 2022, actually, and just ranked 23 days ago, so this had quite a road to being ranked, but is now newly ranked with a leaderboard. And as you said, relatively awkward high BPM, very high density, being 230 BPM and AR9 for this map. And of course, there's one hidden FC and it's Cookiezi. Go figure.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the epitome of Cookiesi's skill set. AR9 density, that is what that guy rocks out on. And honestly, this song is something I'd rock out on too. Quite the banger, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I'm seeing some people in chat note, yes, this map does feel very inspired by some older styles of mapping. Sliders are so 2008, and I kind of agree with that. And this background being something that you would see on a map from that era, so I think very much fits the bill with what it is trying to imitate.
Yeah, you see all of these like imperfect just 3-point sliders in this map. It's honestly kind of funny for a map made in 2022, but I think it works. It works. Clearly it works well enough for the BNs because it is ranked, so
yep,
no complaints there.
And it definitely fits the aesthetic. Yeah, this map I think has a lot of its difficulty condensed on the beginning and ending of each chorus. You saw that pattern with the kick slider jumps that repeats many times in this map, and it's something you really need to familiarize yourself with if you want to pick this map. But then otherwise, a lot of the patterns are fairly simple, where a lot of the challenge is going to come from the density if you do happen to find a miss outside one of those chorus sections.
Not too much else to say about this pick besides it's very long. This map is 4 minutes and 19 seconds. So if you're really uncomfortable with this kind of skill set at all, just a couple practice runs is going to take you quite a bit of time to get through this. So even for players who aren't super good at reading, maybe checking out banning this map is an option here, depending on the other reading maps in the pool and how well you can do on those, how easy it is to practice those for you.
Definitely. Although if you're looking to ban out reading, I think there are definitely some better options in this map pool, but I think players like Takedo, Zudinator, Malshevsky gonna be eating up this type of map because it's a little bit more typical to what you expect to see in a hidden one slot than something like the hidden one from last week. Yeah, Suwagi doing the replay, getting, once again, a pretty good score on this, 548k, nothing to scoff at. I think this map, what I would really describe it as is it's something that doesn't really have a specific hard part, but being able to keep your focus there, your stamina there, for the entire map is going to be really difficult. I think we're going to be hard-pressed to see that many FCs, but so I think the average score on this is going to be fairly high.
Yeah, maybe not a lot of FCs, but relatively good scores from a lot of players expected on something that is reasonably straightforward, even in a pool this hard. That's how it always is. More straightforward maps, more accessible to more players, easier to deal with for most players. And now, get another special treat here, Miles.
Yep, we've got another custom. We've got Mayasota's no Hanataba by 4A Chazuke, mapped by Elchier. Replay from Arnold, and this is kind of the product of something that I really wanted to see before this tournament, which is, an AR8 that is more conventional, that tests streams, and this is just kind of the child of that. Map is something where you might even expect this to see in a DT pool somewhere, but I think a lot of difficulty on this is going to come from the flow aim. I know you got a little bit of a taste of the streams earlier in the map, and you can see some more. The spacing on that is not consistent all the way through, and on AR8 that creates a real challenge. So definitely something where I think it's going to be tough for even some of the more seasoned reading players of the tournament to be consistent on this, because the flow aim creates an aspect of what you could even call RNG that doesn't really get tested that much in AR8 hidden. So this is definitely the most experimental pick of the tournament that we've pulled so far. Something where I completely expect to get mixed reactions on this. I know you can see those streams. Those are absolutely brutal. But
yeah, these are demon. These are also 186 BPM, so it's not super high BPM, but as Miles was saying, these are some demon flow, and the finger control in the middle of these streams, too, with the buzz sliders is just kind of nuts. I don't even know how Arnold got this good of a score. 99x, 680k is kind of crazy for this map.
Yeah, this map is something. That's what I'll say. It is something. I'm unsure how much usage this will get, but I think this map definitely does the job that it set out to do. These streams are so brutal. I definitely hope to see this map get played. Like, look at those streams. And, you know, I think it contrasts really nicely with the Nomod 6. With, you know, that map being extremely awkward, very precision heavy, lots of awkward aim, lots of aim control. This map is conventional. If you were to put this up to AR-10 or like AR 9.5 even, like, everyone would FC it every single time. But at approach rate 8, flow aim, especially awkward flow aim like this, that doesn't stay consistent, is something that is just so brutal to play. And definitely Elchier did a great job in representing that in this map.
The flow aim on these streams is just absolutely ridiculous. I'm still not over it. Some of these sections are completely obscene. I'm looking forward to seeing whether this gets played this weekend, because having a custom map in a low AR slot like this is always a little contentious, because it is, as we've said before, a binary skill set. A lot of players can or just cannot play that. So looking forward to seeing how much play that gets this weekend and some of the scores on that, as well as on this map, because this is a really, really tricky one. This is your finger control primary skill set map in the pool. Obviously some aim control on this as well, but so much change in beat snap divisor throughout this pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. If you're looking to compare this to anything, I think the role that HR3 played in round of 16, this map is fulfilling in this map pool. Very difficult finger control, very difficult aim control, but this time it's going to be on the hidden with a Non-Binarity mapped by Arushi09. I think we've got all of the upcoming tech goats in this map pool with, you know, with Nuge and Arushi in the same map pool. I love both of those mappers. But yeah, this map, as Dio mentioned, just so brutal with some of these changing BPMs. You really need to put the work into practicing this map. And then you go into this slider aim section as well.
The changes to 1/3 in this map, where you're forced to deal with really, really high BPM sections like this, or what feels like super high BPM jumps, is really brutal when contrasted with the flow aim and changing beat snap divisors in some of the other sections, going into, you know, 1/3, 1/6 just in the streams. It can feel really, really rough on a lot of players, especially because this is 175 BPM. So those play like 263 BPM jumps.
Yeah, definitely going to be a factor in this map. Could expect to see some breaks on that, depending on who wants to cheese the slider and who doesn't. Because you could get through that pretty simply by just avoiding the slider ends, but that's going to cost you a lot of accuracy. Let's replay another one from Arnold. I think not a player you see too often playing a lot of these tech picks, but still pretty good at them when he does put his mind to it.
Arnold Hidden. Arnold Hidden is pretty good.
Arnold Hidden.
Especially for a map like this, where you have a lot of these swaps between low and high BPM, or what feels like low and high BPM in this map. Arnold, a player who is very good at both of those, and even when you combine them, can still get a very good score. So shout outs to Arnold for this one. A little bit more of the flow aim and tech hybrid stuff going on here near the end of the map as this one starts to close out. And that'll bring us into the Hard Rock pool.
Yep, the Hard Rock pool. Another song that I think has seen its fair use in tournaments. We've got Yakusoku no Ao, mapped by Real. Or mapped by Real. Artist is Real. This mapper is not Zek. This is the Toybot Professional Box collab. And this map is really just your well-balanced, consistent aim challenge. Also with a non-zero tapping element at 240 BPM, but none of the bursts are very long, so that shouldn't really have too much of a factor on this map. Yeah, just another classic banger in this map pool.
I will say a lot of really high BPM aim in this pool, but as you said, not a lot of tapping focus in any of them. The Nomod one, the Hidden one, both had pretty minimal bursts in them, even for maps that were in a relatively high tempo. Same here, you see a couple quints, a couple triples in this, maybe a little more tapping element in this with the kind of single tap chains going on right next to a lot of the triples. In fact, this is 240, so the highest BPM one yet. But definitely the main focus in this map is the aim, so if you don't have that to begin with, you're going to struggle on this pick regardless of the minimal tapping element here.
Yeah, Dio, I'm going to keep it a brick with you. The BPM is a way that we can avoid pooling, you know which type of aim map I'm about to mention.
SMH my head. Real aim players.
Don't worry.
Real aim players rise up. Real aim players rise up.
We'll bring that to this tournament later. We'll bring some of those in, but not yet. While we're still in the star ratings that everyone can probably play, we're gonna try to pool some real maps here. Another replay from Rectigon. This is definitely the type of thing that guy would play. Hard rock is his specialty. His 742k on this is a very good score. I believe this map has a few HR plays on it. If I recall, the best one on the leaderboard should be by Ryuke. And it is, yeah, Ryuke has 1,088 combo on this. And that's the best one by a long shot.
So pretty tricky map regardless, with no hard rock FCs on the leaderboard at all. This is actually the best hard rock combo on the map by Rectigon here. So nice score from him. We'll see if we get any first hard rock FCs on the map this weekend. There's only 2 Nomod FCs on this map. So quite a difficult one, but certainly some really good players in this tournament who could pull that off. People with some absolutely obscene aim skill cap, especially on hard rock. So I don't think it's impossible. Hard, but not impossible.
Yeah, and I mean, this map, I think it is quite underplayed. It's not even the top difficulty on the set, so not something where too many top players are going to be playing it. So I think having the Corsace Closed player base playing this, definitely going to see some very high scores on this. Now for HR2, we're going to be going into a different kind of aim control and finger control than what we've seen in some of the previous maps. We have Presto mapped by Cloyd, and it's a collab with KTGster, replay from Belladonna. This one is, I think it's decently similar to last week. In some ways, it might actually be easier due to its very short length. But its low BPM finger control and aim control combo is quite difficult to be consistent on.
Yeah, you can already hear and see what's going on in this map between the 136 BPM alt patterning and the, I don't know if those are 1/8, 1/12, 1/16 doubles for some added finger control in this map as well. But a little bit of changing beat snap divisor there with the double tap requirement enabled on this one.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think this one is really a nerve check. Like a lot of those cut patterns, they could be very simple to hit on some runs, but you know, if you just miss snap by a little bit, you end up missing the stack and you just completely fall apart. But otherwise, I personally think this is the easiest map in the pool. And you know, every map pool needs one, but still I think this map is tricky enough to where it does warrant its spot in the pool with the low BPM alt, the aim control requirement, just overall being unique compared to some of the other maps in the pool that test these same skill sets. Yeah, look at these doubles. It's
a tricky map.
Yeah, and if I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of matchups come down to the final pattern on that one, but due to the length and due to, you know, simple aspect of some of the map, then yeah, okay. Now, quickly onto probably the opposite type of alt as the one that we just saw on the last map. This is 320 BPM flow alt. We've got Kudaki Sekai no Dokoku, mapped by Satan. This is the older brother of the creator. The classic alt map, Satan, just doing his thing on the Yosei Teikoku, as you expect.
Yeah, and this is pretty much all pure flow aim. There's not even a lot of aim control to this like you usually expect with, modern flow aim quote-unquote alt maps that still have a lot of like high spacing snap doubles in them, for example. This one is just pretty much pure 160 BPM streams, if I'm being honest. There's not a lot else going on in the map besides that. You get some slider jumps, but that's stock standard for this skill set. And the way that this is mapped makes this kind of interesting pick that plays more like a stream map than an alt map. Just plays like very low BPM streams for this pick.
Yeah, and I think it really contrasts well with some of the other maps in the pool in that regard, because, we just looked at all the other alt maps in this pool that are very focused on aim control and finger control. And we just decided, you know what, screw it. For this one, we are going to pool the most comfortable flow aim alt map possible. And even if you do consider it to be more of a stream map, like Dio said, like 160 BPM streams, if you compare this to some of the other stream maps in the pool, like, say, Nomod 2 or Nomod 5, like, the spacing on this is just absolutely out of this world compared to those maps that are more focused on maybe a stamina requirement. So this one really just, I think, testing entirely different food groups when compared to those maps.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you said, even if it's quote-unquote low BPM streams, which is what I would call this map, because it doesn't have the aim control that a usual alt pick has, which makes it contrast with the alt picks. It's also just way higher spacing and way more straightforward in how the spacing is tested than in Nomad 2, for example. So I think this is a pretty unique pick in the pool overall. You do still get some finger control. There's a couple of, I think those are actually 1/3 rather than 1/6, because this is mapped at 320 BPM, but they should play like 240 BPM bursts in this map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this map, it remains very consistent for the entirety of it. You have the spacing being very consistent, but there is one part that I think sticks out, and it's going to be this part right here, this guitar solo. You have these couple of spaced 8-note bursts, and then you go into this big full-screen flow pattern. And I think that's probably the most difficult part of this map.
Yeah, those spaced 240 BPM bursts are brutal. Do practice. Do not sight read this, because those might come out of nowhere. You might not be expecting that kind of spacing on 240 BPM in this map otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this map can also troll you. If you're looking at the sliders, there are ticks on all of those sliders, so you have to follow them. And if you don't, you will be trolled with a slider break. But this is another map where I think we're going to see a very high baseline score, but I think we're not going to see too many people really going above and beyond, maybe getting any FCs on this. I don't believe this has any HRFCs. I'll check.
Nope, just a couple hidden FCs and 9 Nomod FCs on this map, but no Hard Rock in the top 100 scores on this. So yeah, this is pretty difficult.
Yeah, and the Hard Rock and Hidden Hard Rock leaderboards, there is nobody over 1,000 combos, so take of that what you will. This has been loved for a while. Maybe not enough people have been playing this with HR, but that's beside the point. All right, now on to the double time pool. We've got something a little bit more, I think, conventional than what we had last week. We have Yuki no Yoni, mapped by Rizia. I know this has been one of the visions for Aiden BH, the other head map pooler. He loves his Rizia maps, and he has been trying to, between last year and this year, pool as many of them in DT1 as he could, and this is this iteration of that.
Yeah, one hidden double time FC from Matthew. No DT only FCs at all on this map, so Christmas in April maybe if you're looking to farm some leaderboard places with this map. Certainly doable. I mean, this is only 8 stars, only. But still, of course, very difficult. 276 BPM, AR 10.5 once again this week. So a little lower BPM, but still pretty up there above 270 for this map. And that's kind of what you're going to expect with a lot of the DT picks in these pools, as when you get to this kind of star rating, most of the farm maps are 180 BPM or higher in their base BPM. So you're going to expect a lot of 270 plus from DT1 in this tournament.
Yeah, just on the virtues of the map poolers, we are going to be trying to pool maps like this in DT1 because we grew up in that era. We expect to see... I don't know if HVIC played this back in the day. I don't know if this map even existed when HVIC played. But just those types of maps in general. Yeah, overall, not too much to say about this one. Replay done by Arco once again, getting a pretty good 500k on this. I think this is one where we'll definitely see a lot of high scores because there are players left in the tournament. I mean, everyone left in the tournament is still there. But lots of them are really DT specialists. I'm looking at players like Window Life to get a very good score on this. Like, this map is just kind of a call out to him.
Yeah, you have to have the DT aim for this, obviously, but this is different from the other aim maps in the pool. A, it's higher BPM, B, it's higher approach rate, C, there's bursts and streams in this map. Like, you cannot just fling your cursor, so to speak. You need to have the burst aim and higher approach rate reading to deal with the pattern complexity that comes with, you know, not just being pure jumps in this map.
For sure. All right, now, for this next map, I was alluding to it earlier, how there was one more Toho map, and we've got our Shred. This is the Shred. We've got Crimsonic Dimension, not by Sanch, KK. And pretty much all you can say about this is 4 minutes, 228 BPM, pretty much only circles. Just have fun. This map is stamina all the way through with some finger control as well between those triples you see, but really what's going to make this map hard are the long streams. And, you know, they aren't two space. You could try to cheese them, but try and cheese it for 4 whole minutes and see what happens.
There are 3,386 circles in this map and 22 sliders.
Yeah. This is...
maybe a little bit of stamina in this one. Just some shred.
Shred! Yeah, you
Please,
know...
somebody leave this open in Nineric's match or Window Life's match. I want to see them play this.
Yeah, this map is...
Or leave this open in Emrek's match also. He can play this. He can shred this.
This is the next most polarizing map in this map pool for sure. In that, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets banned out every single match, because if you aren't confident in your shred, you are not leaving this open. There is no world where you leave this open.
Yeah. Well, we'll see who's confident in the shred. We do have a couple of matchups that I think maybe this can be left open. A Secret Box Taquito actually might be a good shout for this one. We'll see if that actually gets left open in that matchup, because I don't think either of them is going to be too keen on... I don't think Taquito's going to be too keen on banning this out, so I'm interested to see if that one gets left open here. Winner's bracket doesn't really have any of the big shred players except for like Enri and Emrek, so maybe they get to play this. But Emrek is versus worst HR player, so either he's banning out the Nomod 5 or he's banning out the DT2. I don't know.
I'd love to see someone decide to ban one of the other speed maps over this one, because, you know, me as the Toho guy, resident Toho guy, I love to see it get through the ban phase, but if this does get completely struck out in ban phase, I will not be surprised. Like, you're just watching this. There hasn't been a single break in this map yet. It is all just perma-shred, perma-finger control. You need to be at one of the best of the best in the game to be able to get a good score on this, I think.
So somehow not even 8 stars, by the way.
Yeah.
7.92 stars for this map. A little silly.
Yeah, a little bit silly. Star rating This is one of the few moments where I think speed star rating is actually underweighted. Might be because of the lower spacing as well as maybe the lower-ish BPM, but still, like, real star rating on this I think is a lot higher than what it actually is set as.
Oh, absolutely. Like the lower spacing, the fact that it's lots of long streams as opposed to just continuous triple spam in this map is also a reason why the star rating is lower. Typically bursts are a higher star rating than long streams for some reason. Like, if you take one of these death streams and convert it to all triples, I bet you the star rating goes way up. But star rating aside, this is still a really, really difficult pick. I'm going to be surprised if we see anything over 900k on this map this weekend. This is a tough one.
I mean, we've got the players to do it. I mean, you mentioned earlier, we need to see Neneric, Window Life, probably Chikoni, maybe Emrek, all players who can sink their teeth into this one. Dude, do these streams...
Like, how long is this stream? What the hell? How long is this one stream?
Oh my god, this is like... If you were to put one of the Square Stream practice maps in a tournament, this is what it would look like.
It kind of is. Kind of is. I'm not going to lie. This is a little silly. Oh my word. All right, well, that is... actually, it's still not over. Okay, there we go. That is the DT2. On to Double Time 3. Same pool format as last week, so this is the last normal map in the pool. It's Boys Be Stand Up by Akari, mapped by Hollow Wings in the collab Extra Diff.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly who this is a collab with, but this map is, similarly to Deconstruction Star, actually, like, very unique. Like, there aren't too many maps in this game that are very similar to it, but once again, this is just one of your hybrid DT picks. I think it does emphasize finger control a bit, but that is definitely not the exact skill being tested. This one also has a very real flow aim strain, as well as you can see some of the aim control with some of these cut patterns. But this map, it throws a lot at you, for sure.
Yeah, this is, of course, the more gimmick-focused DT pick. It is still 219 BPM, but pretty similar in style to the DT3 from round of 16 as well. And I just checked the collab partner. It is Kinomi, also known as Bald Race or Tsukuyomi. Not a mapper that I actually know of, so cool to see that. But yeah, this is just the successor to DT3 from last week, really. Not tech DT, more alt finger control reading here.
Yeah. I think this map, not exactly related to the DT3 from last week, but maybe in the sense of like second cousin, yeah. Yeah, that's the influenza talking, not me. Okay, yeah. More stuff about this map. This is another Arco replay, 536k. And that there, in that second course, you just saw that pattern. That, I think, is one of the hardest patterns of the map. The spacing on that, the cut, very hard. You just saw another one. I think that's probably going to be where you see the most breaks on this.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere where you see the high spacing plus increased finger control is always going to be a major point of pain for a lot of players. So, same thing holds true in this map. I think this is over relatively soon. I think we're nearing the end of the map here. Probably last PI time right now.
Yeah.
Oh
that cut is stupid. If we see anyone FC through that, it's going to be crazy. Yeah, this map, I don't think it has any DTFCs.
Oh, Lord.
This is another map that I would love to see a DTFC on in the match.
This actually does have one hidden double time FC 3 months ago from Emrek.
Well, of course it does, I guess. Can never avoid that guy when it comes to
two 100s and one of them's a slider end. GG.
2 100s? Are you kidding?
Yeah, 2 100s.
Oh my god. Well, I guess here you go, Emrek. This one's for you, buddy. Okay, now Tiebreaker. Dio, I know you love this map. You wanted me to pull this map.
I did. This is actually an old custom from another tournament, K's Finesse Cup. I think in 2022? I don't actually remember. It might be 2023. Yeah, it was 2023, about a year ago now, in early April. Imperial Code 2 by Daisuke Ishiwara, mapped by Scub Domino. I'm so sad it doesn't look like we have storyboard on for this replay, because there's a 6 storyboard to go with this map. If you do end up playing this in solo or checking this map out generally, go ahead and check out that storyboard, because this is a sick map. This is unranked, by the way, still unranked after a year. This is a really, really cool map with a lot of really high spacing, flow and snap alt, plus lots and lots of these bursts and streams. This is 300 BPM, so those 1/3 streams are 225 BPM, and most of the alt plays at 150.
Yeah, this map is another one of those final boss tiebreakers, if you could give that a category. But really, I think all of the tiebreakers in this tournament are final boss tiebreakers. Like, you look at the one from last week, you look at the one from this week. Like, tiebreaker, its purpose in Corsace Closed is to be extremely difficult. And this one does not fail at that whatsoever.
Yeah, 8.2 stars, which is higher star rating than anything besides DT1, which of course is going to be a little bit overstarred with the bursts. And with the patterning you see, getting to 8.2 stars is really difficult. Oh, by the way, did I mention this map is actually CS3? So this is an alt map that's CS3 and has enough spacing to get to over 8 stars.
All right, Hard Rock preference players, this is your call out.
It actually is. This map is already OD10, AR10. So if you go Hard Rock on this, all you're dealing with is the increased circle size. It just brings it to CS4. Maybe we see some Hard Rock preference on this. Who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one with this brainworm, but I find higher circle size actually be easier to read on AR10 than CS like 3 and below. Like, it just feels a lot less dense when you add the HR. So maybe we will see at least one person decide to do that. But first, we need to see a match be closer than 6-2. We need a match be closer to 6-2 first.
Yeah, every match was 6-2 or more one-sided last week. So here's hoping that at least one of these matches goes to tiebreaker this weekend. If it does go to tiebreaker, I think we'll see some sick plays on this. The aim control and reading required for this is actually ridiculous. Like, being able to read these sorts of patterns and actually hit the jumps in this is really, really hard. Yeah, this just keeps going, by the way. This is, it's not quite 6 minutes. It's 5 minutes, 16 seconds of drain time. But it is 5 minutes, 51 seconds overall, so almost a 6-minute song. Players are going to be sufficiently tested with this, that's for sure, going into semifinals weekend.
Yeah, definitely, in my opinion, the hardest map in this pool.
Yeah.
As it's meant to be. This map throws the whole kitchen sink at you.
As God intended.
Yep, as God intended. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is harder than maps in, like, finals as well. Like, this map is just completely brutal.
Yeah, certainly harder than some of the maps that I can see in semifinals already. Now that I can actually see the pool, I was sight reading the showcase chat. I came in not knowing the pool, so sorry if any of my commentary was a little off on some of the maps. But gotta have somebody to sit here with Miles and go through the pool.
Yeah, especially because this is my Michael Jordan flu showcase.
Yep.
I only have so much breath. And Dio, it was a massive help you being here. But yeah, I mean, this tiebreaker, if you just need one more example of how brutal it is, Rectigon getting only around 290k on this. And I mean, we've done our fair share of Rectigon and Suwagi glazing in these showcases, but like, taking maybe a top 10 tourney player in the world.
But, like, look at these patterns, though.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. Just a little bit.
It's rough. It's a rough map. I mean, it's not anything crazy, right? There's no, like, ridiculous sliders, but the alt aim control is really hard. The speed and the burst and the spacing in them is really hard. The comfortable 300 BPM jumps are also pretty high spacing for that sort of BPM. So it's just a lot of relatively straightforward, really hard stuff thrown at you continuously for 5 minutes and 15 seconds, which is more than a lot of other tiebreakers can say. There is something special about these sorts of alt tiebreakers.
Absolutely. And that is going to do it for our quarterfinals Mappool showcase. Everything will be updated and uploaded on 2Sheets and websites shortly. Be sure to check out the bracket. Look for the matches next weekend that you want to watch. I'll very quickly read some of those out. And it looks like we've got Malashevsky versus Kriller, Enry versus Flying Tuna, Worst HR player versus Emrek, and MCY4 versus Decaton in the winner's bracket. And our loser's bracket will have Window Life versus Inner Camping, Zudinator versus Neneric, Secret Box versus Taquito, and Ciccone versus Scrowl. And that is going to do it for the showcase. Be sure to look at those matches, find the ones that you want to watch, put those on your calendar when the schedules release. And until then, thank you all for watching.